you know, I am not a professional television reviewer, but I am a Thomas the Tank Engine fan. And while I did really want to do Thomas Explained, it's just not something I'm good at. It's not something I know how to do. And there are many other better videos you could go to watch Thomas episode reviews or Thomas season reviews, one of which is in the card over here. But you might be asking, what are you going to put in the place of Thomas Explained? A fan series? No. I'm going to be doing a landmark analysis. As we know, Sodor is off the coast of Britain, and there are many beautiful sceneries over there, from the great depths of the Coldy-Fell Railway to the beautiful lakes of the Skarloey Railway, and down to the sprawling docks of Edward's Branch Line. Where else to start but the first station you see in the television show, Knapford Station. Now then, in the railway series, Knapford was below Elsbridge and was not built up due to it being flooded. However, in the 1880s, the Ulstead Mining Company commissioned A.W. Dry & Co. to fix this issue. The present station at Knapford in the books is on the third site and dates to 1956. The town of Knapford, though an important railway junction, is kind of bleak, and Knapford, in both the books and the show, has both a railway and a dock. Now, in the television show, Knapford is the big station, replacing Tidmouth. And it has a refreshment kiosk, an engine driver's locker room, the House of McBunn, and Sir Topham Hatt's office, as well as many other things. In the pilot for the series, Knapford had a one-track yard. Later on, it was giving a much more sprawling one, especially at the switch to CGI. In the books, Knapford has a very similar appearance to what we would see as Elsbridge in the current show. And this is most likely what it was based off of. Afterwards, in Universe 1955, the station got an upgrade, gaining another track outside the platform, and gaining 2 little sheds at the bottom side. Opposite end, you see that Thomas's branch line is on Daisy's line, and there are 2 buffers and sidings. Then the main line extends outwards to a tunnel. As you can see, in the 1915 to 1925 look of Vicarstown, it had similar roofs to Knapford and a similar layout to Knapford, which is most likely what the television series version was based off of. Before we move on to the television series iterations, I'm just going to show you all some concept art for the Season 1 and Season 2 iterations of Knapford. Now, in this Season 1 concept art, there are 3 platforms and a goods shed, as well as 1 goods line. Now, the switches in the front are extremely complicated, however, I do believe they went with this concept. The switches in the back of the station accommodate for trains to come in without the camera seeing them. Same with the yard switches in the back. And as I said, the yard is much more sprawling, but still not as large as the CGI iteration. There's also a tiny carriage shed in the back. The Season 2 concept art feels like a continuation of the Season 1 concept art, as the 4 lines comes out of the station as the other 2 had terminated, and there's a large sprawling yard seen in countless Season 2 episodes, as well as a large harbor which is seen in, most notably, the episode of Season 4 known as Fish. In the classic series, Knapford had this general layout, where there were 2 sidings near the left side of the station. Most of the other tracks just went straight out, and there was a 2 to 3 track yard over there that seemingly wasn't able to be accessed. In the CGI series, however, all the tracks went straight out and the yard got a major upgrade, gaining 4 tracks, but those 2 sidings, most notably seen in Thomas and Gordon, have disappeared. Speaking of that sprawling yard, it is now 6 tracks, and tracks 6 and 5 of the main station are now connected up to tracks 5 and 4 of the yard, which makes some sense since that would be where the goods platform normally would be. There's also a coach shed that is now exclusive to Annie and Clarabelle, a diesel fuel-up station, multiple coal bunkers, and a water tower for the engines. Other iterations of Knapford mainly follow the television series appearances. However, there are two that I would like to point out. Up first, we have the Owen Bell illustrations, which looks to shrink the roof of Knapford down a little bit, and also has the docks visible in the background and a bookstore at the terminus. Then there's the My Thomas Story Library book illustrations, which has it similar to the Railway series pre-1955 rebuild. With that all covered, let's move on to how you can remake this with toys. Now, since there are so many toys of Knapford Station, I'm only going to cover the major brands. And what better way to start with the major brands than Thomas Wooden Railway. Now, the original Thomas Wooden Railway Knapford Station is just like this. It was a 2-track, tiny station with 6 little wooden logs holding it up and 2 benches on the inside. The original version had only 4 pegs holding it up, but it doesn't really matter. Now, if you want to recreate the original 6-track Knapford Station, you would need 3 of these. Now, these are a bit hard to come by on eBay, and I don't own one, but if you're really dedicated and you own a lot of old wooden railway stuff, I would say go for it. It is a really nice looking station. That version being the 2011 version. The deluxe Knapford Station was connected, and there was this little part that could come off that had McBun on it, and a little microphone that you could speak in that would project the sound inside the station, so it felt like the engines had a timetable to follow. Again, this is a really nice version of the station. However, this next version I believe to be the best one. Now, if we're being honest, I don't actually own the 2011 version of the station. This is actually the Talking Railway Series edition of the station. But the reason I say to get this one is because it can split in half. Now, most Knapford Station toys had 4 lanes, and if you're really dedicated, I would say get 2 of these 2011 versions. That's because you could have the proper 6 lanes. But if you're a purist and you just want a 2-track main line, then this is definitely the best way to go. Since not only does it split apart, it also has this little Sir Topham Hatt office thing. Unfortunately, the voice in my one stopped working, but when an engine passed over here, he would talk. And since it's the Talking Railway Series version, if you had one of the gold magnet engines and it passed over here, let's say it was Thomas, he would say something specific to Thomas. Another reason this station is really good is because with the second portion, this middle piece of track can come out, and you could just use it stock standard. And I actually usually use this for goods yards. Whenever I just have room for one of these, I would just put this beside it and be like, it's a goods yard. So yeah, I would definitely say pick this version up if you have a choice and you have the money. Get this one. Okay, I'm just going to point this out before I cut to the final version of Knapford. Inside the station, there's a little suitcase. See, there's a little suitcase over there. And it has little stickers for most of the common stations, you know, Teignmouth, Marin, Cronk, Crosby. But there are also 2, Wardfell and Ballaswin, I believe. Now, I know on the wiki there's a station called Balladrin, but yeah, Wardfell and Ballaswin. If you're interested in making your own wooden railway island of Sodor, find a way to make customs of those. As always, Mattel comes in and makes everything worse. This is the 2013-2014 version of Knapford, and I honestly do not like it. First of all, it gets rid of that side building that I loved with the station. And second of all, it adds these weird gates. I do not see the purpose of the gates. It's not on the thing in the show, and honestly, I would just leave them up since it hinders me pulling a long train through Knapford. So in conclusion for Wooden Railway, pick up the 2011 version, and if you really have enough money, do the Thomas Wooden Railway style and have one version behind the other. And then you could just have a huge station for huge trains. Moving on to Take Along, this is the most common version of Knapford for Take Along as far as I can tell, and same with Take and Play. It has this little raised up feature and a little hump on the track. Whenever an engine goes over it, people appear. I would not build layouts with this, honestly. It's definitely not for a layout. It's more for play feature since, it's Take Along, it's Take and Play. Something I would do is just build a station out of cardboard. But if you really want to build something out of this, use that little outside track, there are 2 of them, and have them go there, and have the station itself be sort of a shed area, almost, since that middle track ramps off. Moving on to adventures, this is the Knapford Deluxe set thing for adventures, and it comes with, I believe, these 3 separate things for Knapford. You could probably run 4 lines through this if you're smart enough. I'm not sure since I don't own it, but it's definitely a possibility, and if you want to make an adventures layout, this is really good, I would say, as a starting point. Moving on to Trackmaster 2/Push Along, this was included in some set, and I love it. Normally, I wouldn't like the Trackmaster 2 destinations, but this is actually really good. It has 3 lanes, and you could have them come off and switch and stuff. And honestly, while it's pretty small, I don't see myself bringing coaches into this thing. There aren't that many Trackmaster Push Along or Trackmaster Revolution coaches or cars. So yeah, I would definitely pick this up and just have engines come in it. It's a really nice station. So in summary for these, Push Along and Adventures is your best bet. I would not recommend doing the Take and Play or Take Along ones, since it's not really meant for building layouts. It's more just for play. Moving on to the Play Rail / Motor Road and Rail / Tomy version. I love this station. It is perfect. It has the 4 lanes that you would normally see on Knapford toys, and as you can see with Salty, it can take 1 small engine and 2 cars. However, normally, in an ideal situation with ideal room, you would take these switches off, bring a long strip of track, and then you would be able to fit 3 cars, plus a brake van and a small engine, or you could have Gordon and 2 express coaches. It is the perfect Knapford station toy, I would say. Moving on, we have the Trackmaster version. Again, I love this version, however, it does have a few faults. I do like the fact, however, that there's this open area instead of a station building, since you would be able to turn the engines off and on. Again, you would want to make some straights outside of the station instead of the switches, but one thing I have a major issue with is that gap inside of the station. Why on the roof is there a giant chunk missing? I will never know. However, it is a really nice station, and if you have a way to possibly fill in that roof, I would say go for it, if you're a Trackmaster person, that is. So, for the Play Rail and Old Style Trackmaster, I would say both are a really good offer, and if you have those little adapter things to go from Play Rail to Trackmaster, get both of these. They would look amazing on a layout. Now, if you're unlucky enough to have to build a layout with Mega Blocks, this is your best bet. I own this set. A lot of pieces are missing, but it's really nice of a combination of the old Railway Series version and the new TV series version. And it comes with a cool bridge. Lastly, there's the disappointment of the Bachmann version. I like Bachmann. I own the Thomas starter set, I own a Henry, and I own a Spencer's coach. While they're not the best models out there, this station is just a letdown for me. It always looks so tiny and so cramped, and while yes, you could have a decently long train in here, I just never liked the look of it. And yes, if you bought 2 more of these, you would have a 6-line Knapford, but the look just doesn't work for me, ever. So if you're somehow a Mega Bloks person, go for it. And if you're somehow liking the Bachmann version from that one image, go for it. The Bachmann version can be used well, as seen in the Thomas and the Rail Tour series. But me personally, I don't like the Bachmann version. So with that all settled, I would like to say thank you for tuning in for this, and hope you guys like the new series. Bye.